I'm Steve Pinder from the Texas Martial Arts Hall of Fame, and I'm here with Jim Choate.
Thank you.
So, what I do with all these interviews, we go back to the beginning, and
Okay.
I want to know your story. Why did you start this thing with martial arts, and what made you do it, and what was it like in the beginning?
I started off boxing when I was 14. My brother and my dad boxed and switched over to karate. I guess I was 19 and been doing it ever since, plus 50 years.
Oh, so who's your first instructor?
Bill Bramer in Fort
Oh,
Worth under Pat Burleson.
I know the name. Pat Rosen, who doesn't? Okay.
Yeah.
And Bill Bramer also, I know the name. So, what was it like when you first walked in? Was it a big shock for you going from boxing to martial arts?
It was different. First thing somebody kicked me in the head, and I thought, okay, this is impressive. I'd like to learn this.
So, how long before you started competing?
Actually, 2 months.
Well, I would imagine it maybe came a little more natural because you'd
And
already been in the ring boxing, so now you're just adding
and
weight
you're a
to it.
beginner division, white and
Yeah.
orange at the time. So
Probably felt pretty good. You
it,
do okay?
I took second, so I was
Okay.
happy about that.
So, tell us a little bit about your journey. What happened along the way?
Opened a school in Mansfield uh, in 1973, and that was the first school that I had. And I was actually still a brown belt, and of course, Mr. Bramer was over that, and three of my first students were the Dorsey brothers,
Okay.
Troy Dorsey, Brian Dorsey, and Rodney Dorsey. So,
Well, Mansfield.
yes, they were 10, 9, and 5. So that was.
So, what happened? Were your tournaments? What was it like? Now, you must be competing at black belt division by
Yes,
now.
but
What was that like? Who did you fight? Things like that. Tell us a little bit about that.
the tournament circuit back then was great. The tournaments drew larger numbers than they do now, even in Texas, and it was just it was great to come up around all these guys, and
Who was your toughest competitor?
actually a good friend of mine, Billy Smith, and I came up together, and he and I ended up having a fight several times. So
It's always your friends.
yeah.
Did you become friends after or before?
From the day one, Billy's just got
Yeah.
that kind of personality, and I walked in the door with Brax Boyd, and so uh, Billy was already there. He was an orange belt when we started.
So, what from that point you start competing? You're a black belt. You're in your 20s at this point.
Right.
Okay.
Opened a Mansfield was really too small for a karate school back then, and Mr. Bramer. We opened a school in Duncanville, which kind of became my base club, and Mr. Bramer had a school in Forest Hill, and so when I kind of went out on my own, I took his half of Duncanville, he took my half of Forest Hill, and so we started at Duncanville, and that's where most of my early black belts came from, was the Duncanville school.
So, win tournaments, championships, anything like that?
I had a really good group of rookies that year, and which Troy Dorsey was on the team, Yolanda England. Um, we went to Mexico City in '81, and they have a huge tournament. I'd never seen a tournament that big and that put together like that. It
Did
was.
Mr. Moon put that one together?
I think that he was part of that, and I mean, it was held where they held the Olympics down there, and you had a USA sign, and it marched in like all the different countries that were there. And our team ended up taking second, and then individually, I won the heavyweight division.
Nice. So, wow. So, family now?
Huh?
You have family now?
Yes, married and had 2 sons. They were 2 years apart, and actually, they were worried about me getting back from Mexico because Mark was due, my second one. So yeah, I was told I better get back. on
Yeah.
time.
So are they following in your footsteps?
My oldest son is he's third black.
Mhm.
Okay, he runs a company in Dallas, so he's not in the martial arts business. And unfortunately, I lost my second son in a car wreck when he was 25.
I'm sorry to hear that.
A very talented young man. He was doing really good.
Yeah, we learned that Texas roads aren't forgiving. They're
He was,
not. So I'm sorry for your loss. But now what's going on in your martial arts?
well, we're in this kickboxing is getting big, and we're in Duncanville. And there was a warehouse behind my school, so you could literally, nobody knew it was there, but you could go through a closet and into the
Oh, okay.
warehouse. And of course, the Dorsey brothers were training. Greek worked for me a few days a week, so he was there training. And then Ishmael came up, and he would come up and stay. He would live at my house, and I'd have 8 weeks with him to get him in shape for a fight.
These aren't small names you're dropping. I mean, come on. Of course, we know Demetrius Savanas, absolute legend. We lost him early. Ishmael Robles, no slouch there. Did you work with him with his boxing also?
No, well, we worked it together. Mixed the boxing and the karate. So no, it was a kickboxing gym.
Well, I mean, I talk about that because I mean, two of the big names with Troy Dorsey and Ishmael is they were both.
Punchers,
Oh yeah, I mean, I believe Troy still holds a record as far as the most punches thrown.
most punches. Yeah, right.
So that's quite a resume.
We actually kind of had a little record of our own. The three of us were. I was still training. Uh, the three of us decided one day we were going to see how many conditioning rounds we could do. Okay, and of course nobody's going to stop in front of the other one.
No.
And we actually did 40 rounds. And between each round, we would either shadow box or do setups. And after 40 rounds, all three of us collapsed and said, "What a stupid thing to do."
But it was fun.
But it was great. It was great. But so, I had a kickboxing match in Dallas. Fought Rudy Smedley for the first Texas light heavyweight title and beat him. And
I'm gonna tease him about that. You know that.
yeah, I hope you do.
I like Memphis. But it's an incredible story. Now, if you're going to leave a legacy behind you, what would you like that to be?
Just the core of black belts that I was fortunate enough to train. I mean, Steve Gann and Ken Nelms, who was 6-time U.S. weapons champion and fought as a heavyweight. And I had some really good fighters. We ended up opening 5 schools, and we would all test together. And it was just the sparring partners is the answer to everything. I mean, obviously Troy coming up, getting to be, he was started at 16 was his first amateur kickboxing match was the night I fought Smedley in Dallas. He was on the card as an amateur. And but the sparring partners, he got to fight Greek, he got to fight Ishmael, Billy Jackson would come in. I mean, this was a serious little training sessions.
Wow.
And
So that must feel really good to know that you're at the point where you're at now, because we know martial arts. It's not the beginning and the end. It's everything that happens in the middle. That journey, the people you meet, the brotherhood and sisterhood is unlike anything else in this
Right.
world. And I think that's what we should leave this world is that love of that family. So I absolutely appreciate this interview, sir. It was a pleasure.
I appreciate it.
Thank you very much from the Texas Martial Arts Hall of Fame.